Welcome to the Trading Bell Show, and this time around we veer off to getting to understand how we can become better, be it in leadership, be it in matters, just corporate governance and all that. And in the house we have the CEO and founder Transsolution Services, Emmanuella Aboa. And she's here and she tells me that whoever is going to listen to her and just listen keenly to what she's about to offer will not just leave the same way again after this particular plan that they have for the leaders in this country. Now, before we get into that conversation, let's take a look at her profile.
Emmanuella Aboa is the founder and CEO Transsolution Services Africa Limited, a Pan-African company with the aim of helping businesses scale up and maximize the opportunities within their ecosystems. She has worked in several African countries in multicultural environments and cross-multifunctional teams to research, market, implement and improve governance, management and delivery standards. Emmanuella is a certified coach, trainer, HR practitioner, psychotherapist and behavioral analyst, valuable skills which she has used to enhance her corporate and individuals' learning development programs. This led to the recognition and winning of several global awards, including the 2021 Middle East Africa Most Dedicated Business Training and Coaching Entrepreneur Award winner, the 2021 Zuri Awards, and 2020 Middle East Africa Business and Training Coaching Entrepreneur Award winner, and the 2019 Best in Education and Training Award winner. Emmanuella Aboa holds a Master's of Business Administration from the Marymount, California University, USA, a Bachelor of Degree Business Administration from Edith Cowan University, Australia, and is currently undertaking her second Master's in Psychology. She has been involved in the areas of leadership, business management, strategy and talent development for over 17 years.
Emmanuella, it's glad to have you on the show.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. First of all, I'm always glad to have at least a lady in the house.
All right.
And karibu sana.
Asante sana.
So, I know for all the viewers who are watching, one of the key questions they'll be asking is, what is Transsolution Services and what are they all about? So if you could kindly endear us to Transsolution.
All right, thank you for the question, Laina. So Transsolution Services is a multi-award winning and Pan-African firm. Pan-African firm because we have a presence in 14 African countries, dominantly in Western and Eastern African countries, and our objective is to help individuals and businesses scale up by maximizing the opportunities within their ecosystem. That is really the short story of what Transsolution Services is.
Okay, and we certainly need your services because on this particular show we have a lot of business conversations with business leaders, and definitely they will need your services.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious to ask you, what drove you to establish this? Was there a need sort of basis that you saw that leaders, especially businesses, require?
Absolutely. There were several needs, but allow me to just focus on 2 or 3 needs that became the genesis of Transsolution Services journey. When you look at Africa on its own, what do you notice? Allow me to bring back again that question to you. What do you notice in terms of leadership?
Well, we certainly can do better.
We can certainly do better, all right?
Yes.
When we think about leadership, we look at it from a global perspective, in terms of governance, in terms of management, and in terms of delivery services. I was looking at statistics not long ago that says that in Kenya specifically, there are over 1 million, no, actually 6 million SMEs. However, only 1 million are registered. What does it say to you? That as leaders, and we know that SMEs are the driving force of our economy. So what does it tell you about the leadership? What does it tell you about the type of industry in which we are operating, as opposed to the leadership in the West or in the East? We tend to look at leadership in Africa generally from a hustling type of perspective, while the West and the East look at leadership from a legacy perspective. So the mentality that we have about leadership tends to drive, again, the way that we lead our organization and the way that we lead ourselves. So what we do at Transsolution Services is to change that mindset from looking at the business from a simple hustle to a legacy that you can actually have from generation to generation.
Okay.
And that on its own already encompasses quite a number of elements that we tend to outline in our program and in our services. And number two is really looking at Africa as a continent. There are so many opportunities. But unfortunately, we tend to minimize those opportunities because there are no leakages that create that type of network that individuals and businesses can focus on to drive their business in Africa, in the continent itself. And that is a leakage that we bring out because of our position within the East and Western Africa. We tend to leak leaders from both part of the continent so that they are able to scale up and, of course, increase their revenue.
Okay. That's an interesting one, and you bring in an interesting angle, which I'll ask you later, especially about successive growth of businesses, because we have seen businesses sometimes, just go down the drain with someone, and you wonder why aren't our businesses living 2 generations. But before we come to that, you're putting together an event that will bring leaders together, and I would like you to let us know about it.
All right. So every single year, one of the services that we offer is a professional event, basically to have intellectual conversation, to challenge mindsets. Because if you really think about it, Maina, leadership is where every business starts and ends. Everything falls and starts with the leader. So what we do during this event is basically challenge the mindset for leaders now to start positioning themselves strategically. So this year we will have a breakfast dialogue, and our theme is work at 45,000 feet, how leaders can adapt for the future of work.
Wow. Adapting to the future of work.
Absolutely.
Walking at 45,000 feet. That's quite high.
It is indeed.
So who are invited? Who are you looking at attending this particular event?
All right, we are looking at entrepreneurs, leaders, and captain of industries.
So it's actually open to anybody who is running a business and captains of industry?
Absolutely, as long as you know that you are a leader in your own capacity and rights. That is very important as well, because the kind of conversation that we will be having is to challenge the mindset, as I had said earlier on. So let me now go back to that question that I asked you about, and I hope, guys, you can take note of that. By the way, someone will ask me, when is it? So just before we close down on the event, when is it? And, so that they can register. That's a very good question. Thank you. So the event will be held on Thursday, 4th of May, from 8 to 10:30 a.m. at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Upper Hill. Yes.
So make your date now, you have the details. All right. Now, interesting, back to the question that I said I'll ask you about intergenerational growth of businesses. We have seen in the headlines and in the locals a lot of businesses going down with the founders, which is quite sad. Sometimes in the West, we see a lot of businesses that have outlived centuries. But here, we are yet to find rooted businesses. Is this something that you help business people at least get to understand so that they can put down these particular structures?
Absolutely. First, the major issues. I do believe that there are 2 major issues why most businesses don't outlive their founders. The ecosystem of the business and the skill sets of the leaders. What do I mean by that? If you look at the ecosystem in which we are living as Africans, many individuals or many founders look at businesses as something that they can do to live by, as opposed to a legacy that they can actually create. And from that aspect, then, it becomes very challenging for someone to see beyond 20 or 30 years down the line. Because as Africans, we tend to think about survival instead of legacy. So there is that aspect of ecosystem. The second one is a skill set. Look at the changing world in which we live. We are living in a rapidly changing environment. And the role of the leader today is much more important than what it was in the past. We are talking about AI, artificial intelligence, that are coming up as an element in the future of work. And I always tell people, AI is not coming to take up your job, but it will take the job of those who refuse to embrace AI.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Right, because this is a future. So what does it mean in terms of skill sets of an individual? What does it mean in terms of opportunity that it will create? As leaders, we must understand that our role is not just to adapt, but it's also to preempt the future. And our event is based on that ideology. Let's preempt the future. Scale up the skills of our leaders so that they are able to contribute to the social and economic growth of our country and eventually our continent.
Absolutely, and I love that. I want to come back and talk about opportunities as well that we have seen, because you've worked in the West and now you're here in the East as well. We'll just broaden the aspect and even ask you, what do you see as similarities probably in the leadership of these two particular areas? We take a short break right here on the Trading Bell Show. Matters Leadership on the go.